Yes, hello students, welcome back to concept recap and additional points for the chapter solutions. Yes, in the previous video, so we have revised the chapter till ideal and non-ideal solutions. So let us continue. So from today's class, so we are taking azeotropes and constant boiling mixtures. Yes, you all know that. What is azeotropic mixture? This is another name. What is azeotropic mixture? Liquid mixtures having same composition in the liquid and vapor phase and boil at constant temperature are known as azeotropes or azeotropic mixture. Okay, it's a mixture of two components. Here we have taken two components, mixture of two components at a particular composition, only at a particular composition. They behaves like a single liquid. Remember, single liquid means what? It is having its own boiling point. Only at its boiling point it vaporizes. So even though it is a mixture of two liquids here, at a particular composition, that is very important, at a particular composition they behaves like a single liquid. So when the single liquid boils or when it vaporizes, so the liquid molecules get vaporized into vapor phase. Here the mixture, both the components will vaporize at the same temperature. They behaves like a single liquid at a particular composition. That is very important, remember. I will repeat again. Liquid mixtures having the same composition in liquid and vapor phase and boil at constant temperature are known as azeotropes. Yes, there are two types of azeotropes. Remember, minimum boiling azeotropes. Minimum boiling means low boiling point. Remember, so low boiling point. So low boiling point means what? You know, vapor pressure is inversely proportional to boiling point. I told already, vapor pressure is inversely proportional to boiling point. So boiling point decreases means vapor pressure increases. Vapor pressure increases means interactions decreases. This remember. Yes, therefore minimum boiling azeotropes shown by solutions showing positive deviation from Raoult's law. Yes, this you remember, positive deviation. Only here you have to remember positive deviation. That is interactions after mixing or lesser than interactions before mixing. Therefore, vapor pressure, more and more molecules are available to vaporize. Therefore, vapor pressure increases, boiling point decreases. Therefore, called minimum boiling azeotropes. What's an example that you have seen? Mixture of ethanol and water. But what is important? Composition. What composition? 95% ethanol and 5% water. So this mixture is an example of minimum boiling azeotropes. Next, maximum. As I told, if you learn for minimum, I need not explain for the maximum boiling azeotropes. It is just opposite. So that's why I have not given anything. So solution showing negative deviation from Raoult's law for a maximum boiling azeotropes. Yes. So what is the example you have seen? Mixture of nitric acid and water. First remember the example and then composition. 68% and 32%. Okay. So this form maximum boiling azeotropes. Okay. Yes. Let us continue. The next one. Yes. Colligative properties. What are colligative properties? Okay. So properties which depend only on number of solute particles present, but not on the nature of the solute particles. Remember, depends only on the number of particles. Generally we take ions. Okay, number of particles or molecules or anything it is, number of particles. So colligative property depends on number of solute particles. More is the number of solute particle, more is the colligative property, that you remember. It does not depends on nature of the solute. Okay, so whether it is a volatile or non-volatile, okay, it does not depends on what is the nature of the solute, but depends on how many particles are there in the given solution. Yes. So there are four types of colligative properties that you have to remember. There are four types. One is relative lowering of vapor pressure, also called relative lowering of vapor pressure of the solvent, also called RLVP. Remember, short form, relative lowering of vapor pressure. Second one, elevation in boiling point. Elevation means, you remember, increase in boiling point. Increase in boiling point. Delta TB, depression in freezing point. Decrease, remember, decrease in freezing point of the solvent, delta TF. And finally, osmotic pressure of the solution, that is pi, symbol pi, osmotic pressure of the solution. So these are the four important colligative properties that you have learned. In all the cases here you learned about the definition and also the calculation of, that is and also the derivation of a formula to calculate the molecular mass of the non-volatile solute. So that you have to remember. So for all the four example you have taken here formula to calculate the molecular mass of a non-volatile solute. So all the formulas are very, very important to solve problems. So you have to remember. Yes, so let us take one by one. First one, RLVP. What is RLVP? Relative lowering of vapor pressure to the lowering of vapor pressure divided by vapor pressure of the pure solvent. Or you can say here it is dP divided by P naught. Okay, dP, decrease in or change in vapor pressure, decrease in vapor pressure. That's why lowering of vapor pressure. Yes, you all know that when a non-volatile solute is added to the solvent, its vapor pressure decreases. Okay. So therefore, what is the decrease? And therefore, what you say here, P naught is always greater than P of the solution. Because non-volatile solute only we have taken here, that you have to remember. When a non-volatile solute is added to solvent, its vapor pressure decreases. Therefore, how much decreases is called decrease in vapor pressure. So P naught minus P. And relative ratio of vapor pressure is the ratio of decrease in vapor pressure or lower in vapor pressure to the vapor pressure of the pure solvent. So that is the definition, you all know that. And next is the relationship between RLVP and molecular mass. Yes, before that, you know Raoult's law for RLVP. Raoult's law for relative lowering of vapor pressure. What is that? Raoult's law for lowering of vapor pressure is P naught minus P divided by P naught is equal to N2. That is mole fraction of the solute. You all know that. Okay, it's already discussed. That is relative lowering of vapor pressure is directly proportional to the mole fraction of the solute. Okay, so that is the Raoult's law for RLVP. Using this formula, we have derived it, you know, the molecular mass calculation, that is molecular mass of a non-volatile solute is given by the formula M2 is equal to W2 by M1 divided by W1 into RLVP. You can take like this, RLVP. But what is RLVP? P naught minus P divided by P naught. Therefore, P naught will now go to the numerator. Okay. So, therefore, you remember this is the other way of writing. W2 by M1 divided by W1. Okay. What is N2 here? N2 is molecular mass of the solute, right? So, N2 mass by molecular mass they have taken. So, therefore, remember it. N2, right? Sorry, mole fraction of the solute. Not number of moles here. Mole fraction of the solute, that is equal to N2 divided by N1 plus N2. You all know that. Okay, so remember this. This is not number of moles, mole fraction of the solute. So I will repeat again. Vapor pressure, sorry. What is that? Raoult's law for RLVP. Relative lowering of vapor pressure is directly proportional to the mole fraction of the solute. That is equal to number of moles of solute to the total number of moles of solute and solvent. So you know that here you have taken many things. Here N2 is smaller than N1 and therefore you have taken as N2 by N1. That is what they have taken here, M2 W2 by W1 or M1 by M2. So that is what taken, because the number of moles is equal to mass by molecular mass. Sorry, mass by molecular mass. Yes, this is what taken, mass by molecular mass, so that you know that. So all of you by heart this formula. So M2 is equal to W2 by W1 into M1 into, or M1 divided by, you can say RLVP. I think this is the easy one you can remember. So based on that you can rewrite the formula. So that's about RLVP. What is RLVP and how to determine the molecular mass using RLVP, so that you remember it. Okay, so only I am taking the most important points about the colligative properties. So the first one is over. Let us move on to the second one, elevation in boiling point. What is elevation in boiling point? Increasing boiling point. When? Yes. When a non-volatile solute is added to solvent, its boiling point increases. For example, when a non-volatile solute like NaCl is added to water, the boiling point of water increases. Okay, it will not boil at 100, it boils at more than 100. And that depends on how much you are adding. So more is the amount your non-volatile solute is adding, more is the boiling point. Okay, so therefore boiling point of the solution is always greater than the boiling point of the solvent. That is what taken. Therefore elevation in boiling point delta TB is TB minus TB naught, because solution boiling point is always greater than the boiling point of solvent. So that is a definition of elevation in boiling point, you know that. And also, you know, the elevation in boiling point is directly proportional to molality. Molality, remember this is molality, not molarity. Or delta TB is equal to Kb into M, so called molar elevation constant. So that you remember, that you all know that. Okay, delta TB is equal to Kb into M. So by this they have derived the formula for molecular mass of a solute. Remember it. Yes, molecular mass of the solute is given by the formula W2 by W1. That is same. Remember, W2 by W1. Okay, into new one is Kb. Okay, or before that you can take, that is M1. Instead of M1 here we are having, instead of M1 we are having 1000 here. 1000 into Kb, that is extra here, divided by as usual delta TB. In the previous case we have taken RLVP. W1 into RLVP. Now W1 into delta TB. In the numerator what is missing? M1. Instead of M1 we have taken, here it is 1000. Okay, into Kb. That is Kb is extra. Elevation, that is molar elevation constant, that is. So by heart the formula. And if you understand for boiling point, so elevation in boiling point, I think the formula whatever we learned, except in small changes in some of the points, otherwise 99% in the formula it is of same. Wherever you are seeing B, you are writing F, depression in freezing point. Yes, this you remember. Elevation in boiling point is another colligative property. Yes. So next one, depression in freezing point. I told already. What is depression in freezing point? Decrease in freezing point. Same thing. When a non-volatile solute is added to the solvent, its freezing point decreases. For example, when NaCl is added to water, you know what is the freezing point of water? 0 degree. At 0 degree it freezes, liquid to ice. But when you add NaCl, it will not freeze at 0. It will freeze at then when? Minus 1, minus 10, depending on the how much you are adding. So that means freezing point of the solution always decreases. Therefore you say here Tf is always less than T0F. That you have to know it. That you remember. It is just opposite to elevation. Elevation increase. Okay, of the solution, that you remember. Here decrease, depression, decrease of the solution. So freezing point of the solution always less than, therefore it is T0. Remember this is T naught F minus Tf, because Tf is always smaller. And this is also depression in freezing point. In general, temperature is always directly proportional to molality. Yes, so that you remember. And the same thing here, I have told already, the formula is also same thing. So W2 by W1, as I told, W2 by W1, remember, into 1000. Instead of Kf, Kb, you are writing Kf. Molal depression constant, there is molal elevation constant. It is depression constant into this is same thing, delta Tf. So whether it is a B or F, you see question afterwards. Okay, you can write the same formula. Right? Yes, so that is about depression in freezing point. It's easy. So when you learn the first one, so 3 over. So let us go to the next one. Sorry. Osmotic pressure. So before that there is an important point. Application of depression in freezing point. There are some important points about freezing point. So remember. So I am taking here application of depression in freezing point. Yes. Some points. First one. To lower the freezing point of water in the radiator of a car on a hill station is suitable. A suitable solute like ethylene glycol or even ethanol or methanol called antifreeze is dissolved in water. Otherwise, water get what will happen to water? Water get vaporized otherwise. So therefore, to lower the freezing point, here the vapor pressure of the solution, here it is vapor pressure of the solution decreases. So therefore, freezing point decreases. Otherwise, boiling point increases. Right, you all know that. So to lower the freezing point or to increase the boiling point of water in the radiator of car on a hill station, a suitable solute like ethylene glycol called antifreeze is dissolved in water. Similarly, common salt or anhydrous calcium chloride are used to clear the snow on roads. This is because they depress the freezing point of water to such an extent that it cannot freeze to form ice. Because of non-volatile solute common salt that is present, it will not freeze at 0 degree or even at lesser degree, it will not freeze. Hence, it melts off easily at the prevailing temperature, what you call room temperature. This is the application. And another application is addition of ethylene glycol to water is also useful in summer as it rises the boiling point, which I told already. As it rises the boiling point, nothing but it decreases the freezing point. In the first one we have taken freezing point, now we are taking boiling point. Rise the boiling point of water and prevents water antifreeze advertisements called boil over. So they call this one as boil over, to prevent the boiling over of the water. During summer, they add some ethylene glycol. If you don't add ethylene glycol to water, water gets boil easily and evaporate, disappear. Right. Therefore, in order to decrease the boiling point, boiling of water. So therefore, to increase the boiling point, so ethylene glycol or a non-volatile solute is added to water to rises the boiling point. Okay, and prevent water from evaporation. Yes, so this is called antifreeze. This is also called antifreeze here. The same name taken, called boil over. Remember it. These are commercial words they are taken. But here the important is application that you have to remember. So application of depression in freezing point. Yes, this is about the last one, osmotic pressure. This is the fourth colligative property. Yes, osmotic pressure, it is compared to, that is ideal gas, PV is equal to nRT. Same formula we have taken here. So instead of PV nRT, we have taken here it is pi V nRT. Pi V nRT we have taken, you all know that. But pi is equal to N by V RT. Right? So then N by V is what? molar concentration N by V. So therefore pi is equal to CRT. You all know that. So that is how you can, even if you forget, you can recall pi is equal to CRT, where C is the molar concentration. Molarity, what do you call here? Yes. So R is a gas constant, since we have used the same formula, and C, N by V, I told already, where volume of the solution in liters. Yes, is a molarity containing N2 moles, that you remember. But N2 is equal to W2 by M2. That also you know. N is equal to number of moles. N2 is equal to W2 by M2. If it is N1, W by N1, M1, N1. Okay, sorry, M2, W2 by M2. If it is N1, W1 by M1. In general, N by V. That is in general mass by molecular mass. So N is equal to mass by molecular mass. Yes. So this you remember. These are the basic, the knowledge you should have about molarity and number of moles. Okay. How to calculate number of moles. All these things you have to remember. And finally, so you can get the expression M2 is equal to W2 RT by pi V. Okay. So for molecular mass of a non-volatile solute, E1 can be determined by osmotic pressure. Yes, that's about osmotic pressure. So formula to calculate the molecular mass of a non-volatile solute. Yes. And finally, there is an application of osmotic pressure also. This is also very important point. Remember, advantage of osmotic pressure method for polymers or high molecular mass organic compounds. Yes. So why osmotic pressure is used to determine the molecular mass of high, that is polymers that you remember, high molecular mass compounds. Why? Because osmotic pressure method is the best method for determination of molecular masses of polymers, because for polymer solutions, observed value of any colligative property is too low to be measured accurately. Moreover, it can be carried out at room temperature. So osmotic pressure calculation can be done over room temperature. So therefore, no heating or not cooling is required. So because some polymers like proteins, biomolecules undergo a change on heating. So therefore, the method which we use to determine the molecular mass should not involve increase or decreasing temperature. Because biomolecules like proteins, hormones, vitamins, they undergo a change on heating. So therefore, in osmotic pressure, we don't use temperature, and we carried out at room temperature, not don't use temperature. We are not changing the temperature. So therefore, and carrying out at room temperature, this is the best method to determine the molecular mass of polymers like proteins, that you remember. Is high molecular mass compounds. Okay, the first one is observed colligative property for them is too low to be measured accurately. Okay, and other one, it can be carried out at room temperature. So therefore, this is the best method to determine the molecular mass of polymers. Yes. So and come to the next point, isotonic solutions, hypertonic solutions and hypotonic solutions. What are isotonic solutions? You all know that two solutions having same osmotic pressure. Iso means same. So same osmotic pressure at a given temperature. That is C1 is equal to C2. Same osmotic pressure, called isotonic solutions. For isotonic solution, pi 1 is equal to pi 2 or C1 is equal to C2. That is same osmotic pressure. For example, when you take here the osmotic pressure of fluid inside the blood, is equivalent to the normal saline solution of 0.9%, that is mass by volume NaCl solution, normal saline solution. Hence, the fluid inside the blood cell and normal saline solution are isotonic. This is an example. Next one is hypertonic solution. Solution having higher osmotic pressure than when compared with the other solution is called hypertonic solution. Hyper, that is the osmotic pressure of one solution is greater than the osmotic pressure of the other solution. Okay, so called hypertonic solution. Example, a solution containing more than 0.9% of NaCl is hypertonic than when you compare with the fluid inside the blood cell. So that means if you take more than 0.9% NaCl solution, then it is hypertonic solution. Hence, when we place the blood cell in such a solution, water will flow out of, by osmosis, water will flow out of the cells and they would shrink. This is very, very important point that you know, remember during hypertonic solution, that is when blood cells are placed in hypertonic solution, the blood cells, what happens? Shrinks. And you know, when you understood this one and second one is just opposite. Hypotonic solution. So therefore, what happens to the cell? The cell gets swell. Okay, opposite to the shrink, they swell. And here, you know, the osmotic pressure of the solution is less than expected. That is less than, not expected, less than the other solution when what we compared. So a solution containing less than 0.9%, when fluid cell or blood cell is placed in a solution less than 0.9%, then swelling of the cells takes place. So these two are the important point that you remember: shrinking of the cell and swelling of the cell. Hyper one you remember, and remember other one as just opposite. So that is about types of other types of solutions. So based on osmotic pressure. Yes. So come to the next and the last one, that is abnormal molecular mass. What is abnormal molecular mass? The molar mass is either lower or higher than expected or normal value is called abnormal molecular mass. So we are predicting the molecular mass of one compound based on its structure. It should be say 50. But when you conduct experiment and determine the molecular mass, if it is more than 50 or if it is less than 50, if you find what is called abnormal molecular mass. Yes. Molar mass of solutes which undergo dissociation and undergo association. So there are two types of process that can happen when a solute is added to the solvent. What can happen? Association or dissociation. Yes. First one, for the dissociation. For the solutes which undergo dissociation into ions. For example, when you take up NaCl, Na plus plus Cl minus ions, the experimentally determined molecular mass is always lower than the true value that you remember. So molar mass of solutes which undergo dissociation is always smaller than the expected. This is because, what is the reason? When solute undergo dissociation, the number of particles increases, that is colligative property increases, and hence molecular mass decreases. That you remember, molecular mass is inversely proportional to colligative property. This is the conclusion. Finally, I will give this, remember, and you have to remember this, very important. Molar mass is inversely proportional to colligative property, but colligative property directly proportional to the number of particles. Okay, more is the number of particle, lesser is the molecular mass. Yes, once again I am telling here, if you learn the first one, second one you just remember it is opposite. See, number of times I have told the same thing here. So that is how you can find easy. Yes, second one I need not tell. For association, so molecular mass of a solute which undergo association is always higher than the expected. So you know acetic acid, two molecules of acetic acid when dissolved in water, what happens? They undergo dimerization. So CH3 COOH twice dimerizes. That's why you can say the molecular mass double. Okay, dimerizes. So that means number of particles decreases, 2 become 1. Here it is 1 become 2. Number of particle decreases, colligative property decreases, therefore molecular mass increases. Yes, that is what the important point you have to remember here, molar mass and colligative property relation. Yes, and this can be understood by a factor called Van 't Hoff factor. That's why we are introduced a Van 't Hoff factor to express the extent of association, how much the solute, how much it undergo association or how much it undergo dissociation. What do you call extent of association or dissociation of a solute in the solution can be measured by Van 't Hoff factor, that is I. So it's given by the formula normal molecular mass divided by observed molecular mass, or I is also calculated using the formula calculated molecular mass divided by experimental molecular mass. Okay, or any other formula that we have, you can use. Yes, now this is the most important that you remember. For non-electrolyte which neither undergo association or dissociation, I is equal to 1. So that means before after the number of particles same, I is equal to 1. The electrolyte which undergo association, remember I less than 1, dissociation I greater than 1. Okay, dissociation I greater than 1, association I less than 1. Okay, so more is the I. As I increases, molecular mass decreases. That you remember, as I decreases, molecular mass increases. Okay, so Van 't Hoff factor is used to express the extent of association or dissociation. Therefore, the colligative property expressions can be modified through Van 't Hoff factor. So just by introducing the I factor, for all the formula what we have taken already, just I should be added. Van 't Hoff factor. What is Van 't Hoff factor? Here it is number of particles. Remember, number of particles. Okay, so that number you have to add. So whether it is 1 or 2 or 3. For example, for NaCl, when it is dissolved in water, number of particle N is equal, that is I is equal to 2. For aluminum sulfate, 2 and sulfate SO4 thrice, it is 5. Like that you can find out the number of particles and add. So that is about Van 't Hoff factor and about the colligative properties. Clear? Yeah, that's all. And come to an end. That's about the revision of the chapter. So quick revision I have made. Still more point you can add, so that you can take as a synopsis for your theory exam. You can write down those points, and if you find some other important points you can add, or you can make it still smaller notes for MCQ. Okay, yes. So I am giving some more additional points, so which are not there for your NCERT, but required to solve some MCQ. So remember, next is normality, one of the important point, not there for your NCERT. So what is normality? It is the number of gram equivalents of solute present in 1 liter of the solution. So number of gram equivalent, number of moles, that is molarity, number of gram equivalent of the solute present in the 1 liter of the solution, that is normality. So normality is equal to number of gram equivalent of the solute divided by volume of the solution in liter. So that is what small difference between molarity and normality. So you all know that. Even from first PUC you learned these two. So remember. And you see here molality, mole fraction, and mass fraction are preferred over. These are preferred over molarity and normality, etc. because the first three what we have mentioned, they do not change with temperature, whereas the later involve changes with temperature. Because the first three depends only on the mass, the next two they depends on volume. As volume changes with temperature, the other two changes, the molarity and normality changes with the temperature. So therefore, molarity and normality also changes with temperature. As the volume changes, so these two also changes. So that you know already. So remember, Then I'm giving some relations here, relationship between molality and molarity. So just remember, if there any problem on this, so you can use this formula. So M molality is equal to molarity M divided by D density minus molarity into M2. Okay, there's a relationship between molality and molarity. Okay, so just remember the formula, and then comparison of 1 molar and 1 molal, that is molarity and molality. Yes, 1 molar aqueous solution is more concentrated, remember. So 1 molar aqueous solution is more concentrated than 1 molal, that is molar, this is molal. What's the reason? Because 1 molar solution contain 1 mole of a solute in 1000 or 1 liter of the solution, which includes solute. The mass of the solvent is less than 1000 gram, as the density of water is 1 gram. So that you remember. So mass of the solute and the solvent is always greater than the sum of mass of solute and solvent is always greater than the mass of solvent. Thus 1 molar solution contains 1 mole of solute in less than 1000 gram of solvent, whereas 1 mole of solution has 1 mole of solute in 1000 gram of the solvent. 1000 gram of the solvent, because mass of the solvent is fixed here. Their volume of the solvent you have taken here. Solute and solvent should be 1 liter. So here 1 mole of solute dissolved in 1000, that is fixed. Okay, so therefore 1 molar solution is more concentrated in less volume than molal solution, that you remember. But in case of non-aqueous solution, 1 molal is greater than 1 mole, or 1 mole is less than 1, or 1 is equal, depending upon the density of the solution. In case of non-aqueous solution, this is only in aqueous solution we are talking. Aqueous solution, it's always less. But in non-aqueous solution, it depends on the density of the solution. So this you remember, another important point I am giving. So one more relation now. Here it is molality and mole fraction. Okay, instead of density we have taken here it is mole fraction. In the same way, X2 is equal to molality into M1, is molecular mass of the solute, divided by 1 plus molality into molecular mass of the solute. So that you remember. And fifth one, calculation of normality and molarity of the solution of mixing. If 2 or more liquids are mixed, then the normality or molarity of the mixed solution can be calculated using the formula. For example, so V1 solution with the normality N1 is mixed with V2 with the normality N2. Then the normality of the mixed solution, that is N3, of the final solution can be calculated using the formula. That is N3 is equal to N1V1 plus N2V2 divided by V3. I can take this one as V3. That is V1 plus V2. Similarly, for molarity, same formula can be applied. So this is how you can calculate normality and molarity of the solution on mixing. Yes. So next is about Raoult's law. Raoult's law is applicable only if the two components are homogeneous. Remember this is, I am just highlighting the point. This is so only if they have similar structure, that is benzene toluene. That's why we have taken example of, ideal solution, benzene toluene, hexaneptane. Their solutions are called ideal solutions. So Raoult's law is not applicable to components if they are not completely miscible. That is non-homogeneous or heterogeneous. So it's not applicable to heterogeneous. It's applicable to only homogeneous. So that you remember. So next, the mole fraction in the vapor phase are calculated as, so Ya is equal to Pa into Pa plus Pb. This is the other way, So you already know that the formula which I have given. So Pa is equal to Ya into P total. Okay. This is P total. But what is P total? P total is equal to PA plus PB. So that is what they have taken in general here. So therefore YA is equal to PA by PT or PA by PA plus PB. Right. Similarly for YB component 2, you can write in the same way PB by PA plus PB. So these are the other way of writing the expressions, remember. And therefore here we have taken the substitution here. So when we take 1 over A, the same formula we have taken here. So you just recall what I wrote there. YA is equal to PA divided by P total, right? P total. Right. So therefore 1 over A is what? 1 over A is equal to what you write here? P total to the numerator divided by PA. Right. What is PA? So you know what is P total? So PB naught is minus or plus what you have taken. Here it is P naught A minus PB naught into XA. And what is PA? So P naught A into XA. So don't confuse the formula. So this is XA. The same thing what we have taken here. And when you simplify, when you take this one inside, PA naught minus PB naught. So simplify. So take inside this one, separate this, and we get this one. And when you solve for 1 over XA, you see 1 over XA, take out 1 over XA. So here it is 1 over XA. Solve for this. Okay, you can practice, you will get, so you will get this, right? And when you take up this one, so this is the final expression or relation we can write between mole fraction of a solute in the liquid and the mole fraction in the vapor phase. Okay, both we have taken here. So therefore, again this gives a straight line. Remember, y is equal to mx plus c. Thus, in the plot of 1 over xa versus 1 over a, 1 over xa versus 1 over ya. So, this is what slope. This is what intercept. Okay. So, this is ya, y is equal to mx plus c. This is y is equal to mx plus c. So, therefore, the slope you can remember and the intercept you can remember. So, you will get some problems in MCQ. So, you have to remember this. So, that's about this, and let us go to the next one. Similarly, we can have the other formula, other way of writing. You know, PA is equal to P total into YA. So, you can remember this is all the same thing. Therefore, mole fraction in the gas. So, YA is equal to what? P naught A into XA by PT. Okay, or the same thing, XA is equal to what? YA PT by P naught A. Because, you know what is PA? PA can be written as P naught A into XA. You have to bring all the relations. So, it's all mixed up. So, mole fraction in gas phase, mole fraction in liquid phase. Same thing for the second component. Yes, and also further when you take up XA plus XB is equal to 1. So, substitute the value of XA and X1 here. So, you will get this. And when you simplify, you get YA divided by P naught A plus YB divided by P naught B is equal to 1 over PT1. This is of simplification. Yes. So, therefore, when you take up the same thing, so you know what is YB? So, YA plus YB, mole fraction of the two components A and B. Sum is always 1 in the vapor phase. That's the only difference. So, therefore, YB is equal to what you can write? 1 over YA. So, that is what you are taken here in the second one. So, therefore, YA by P naught A plus, simplify further. And when you rewrite for this, so you will get this. And therefore, this is also y is equal to mx plus c. Y is equal to c plus mx. This is taken. Okay. So, therefore, when we draw a graph of 1 over P total versus YA, so again, this is what? C intercept. Intercept 1 over PB naught and slope here also same PB naught minus PA naught divided by P naught A PB naught A. Okay, this is what the other graph you can draw. So these are all the relations out of your NCERT. Is only for your competitive exam. Different way of writing that is Raoult's law. So that remember. Okay. So come to an end. The last one, that is relationship between Van 't Hoff factor and degree of dissociation. This is also out of your NCERT. So degree of dissociation. Yes. And also we have degree of association. Both the formula. First one, I. Van 't Hoff factor is equal to 1 plus alpha, where alpha is the degree of dissociation, and n equals to the number of ions formed from one formula unit of the substance. That is one NaCl. When you take NaCl, one formula when you take, you get Na plus and Cl minus. So this is what n is equal to 2, number of ions formed per unit formula. So one formula. So by this, for dissociation, I is equal to, what is the formula? I is equal to 1 plus n minus 1 into alpha. Remember, right? If n is equal to 1, so I is equal to 1. Okay, if n is equal to 2, then I is equal to 1 plus alpha. So like this, you can modify the formula. This is for the dissociation. Yes, for the association, the same thing. You write I is equal to 1 plus, instead of taking n, you have to take 1 by n by 1 into alpha. That is the only small change that remember. Okay, because number of moles here it is decreases. Because association, this is very important, association. Okay, it is fraction of the moles or ions or molecules. So therefore you see example of benzoic acid here, and I have taken example of here barium chloride 3, and here it is n is equal to 1, decreases to 1, and here it is 1 3. So remember, number of particles here it is increasing, and number of particle here it is decreasing. Okay, so therefore here it is also 1 plus when 1 by 1 when you take, 1 minus 1 is equals, therefore here also, so for when is 1, so I is equal to 1, no change, right? I is equal to 1 and so on. So this is what the relationship between degree of dissociation and Van 't Hoff factor. All of you remember by heart this formula. So with this, so I am completing. So the recap and the additional points for the chapter solutions, and from the next video you will get MCQ, right? Thank you.